Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the North American Strikers League, where we are now starting up the Western Division playoffs. My name is K-Bot, and I am joined by Borg tonight on the cast, who, of course, you all are incredibly familiar with. Borg, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I had a nice little day. The air quality, not too great. I don't know about you guys over
Not
where
too
you
great.
live, but it's.
No.
I felt like I smoked a whole pack today, and I walked outside for 20 minutes. So that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But mentally, I'm feeling amazing. Right? Just played some RuneScape, got off. Did a couple quests, and now we're gone. We're on Omega Strikers, actually my favorite game, right next to RuneScape, and we're about to
There we
cast some
go.
West League. ASOP's Little Hog Champs versus the soon DUBU Strikers. I mean, both pretty exciting teams. What do you feel about them?
Uh, this one should be pretty interesting, which is why, Borg, I've got the heavy duty water bottle ready to go, because I'm afraid I'm going to need it. Last time these two teams faced off against one another, it was the week 2 match that you all might remember, where there was a stinger start and people were just flying off of the map all of the time. And then in the second game, it was a nail biting down to the 5th goal in the 5th set, where soon DUBU clutched it out in 5 sets. So that was ended in a tie in their week 2 game, which means that I imagine we're going to see these two teams being pretty close together, Borg. I mean, do you think there's anything that would lend this one way or the other?
Um, I think both teams have definitely, I've definitely seen a lot more. ASOP's Little PogChamps, not too much, with Pro League coming out. I haven't really seen too many of them playing overall. I think 3Z Breezy, Grimella, and then also Reznok, right? I think I've seen them a lot more recently. So, not saying that little ASOP's Little PogChamps haven't been playing, but, possibly. I haven't really seen them around too much, you know what I mean? So I think 3Z and Grimella probably might have the edge here in terms of recent practice, and also when it comes to the new meta, with the new patch and everything coming in with the energy trainings. I don't know. I mean, it kind of goes both ways, right? So like we have Gunner's Rune, and then Rune recently has just been a menace as a forward, right? So we could definitely see that pop off a few times, depending on bans and picks and awakenings with the starting awakenings. But man, 3Z Breezy's been absolutely popping off recently in general, right? Had a little bit of
Oh,
a rough run in Pro League, but the games that I saw him play, I feel like he played incredibly well overall. And honestly, in that last week 4 as well, just absolutely was carrying his team, it felt like. So definitely looking forward to that matchup.
yeah, I think actually both brawlers, I think on both sides of the pitch, are probably going to be the matchup to look out for. 3Z Breezy and LOL JSS are right, or 3Z Breezy is right ahead of Schneider in terms of goals per minute and KOs per minute across game time in the league so far. They are neck and neck. I think I have it written down. Uh, 3Z is number 2 in KOs per minute overall. JSS is number 3 in KOs per minute. 3Z is number 5 in goals per minute, and Lil JSS is number 6 in goals per minute. So these two are going to be right up there next to one another, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. But other thing you mentioned as well with Gunner's Rune, we actually saw that get banned a few times over the course of
True.
a lot of the matches that Aesop's Little PogChamps was playing. I mean, and it's kind of difficult, I think, to pick what you want to ban against Aesop's Little PogChamps because they don't necessarily feel like they've got comfort characters, or maybe the most comforting character is what, JSS on the Juliet or
On the
something. But
Juliet,
even
probably,
then, right?
yeah.
Everyone wants to play Juliet anyway, so you don't really want to take that off the table here. What do you think's the strategy? Is now with maybe that enhanced rune and some of those buffs coming in, do you think that's something that we might see soon? Do we try to lean towards taking off the table?
I really just think it depends on the map and the starting awakenings, because really, if you look at that team, JSS, even if you ban the Julie, Rasmus is arguably even stronger right now with the recent buffs. And also, Geek being able to pull out so many goalies, Gunner, even if Rune being banned, seasoned player, he can play pretty much whatever he wants in the midfield, right? He can play that Era, he could probably play that Drakkar, he can really do anything. So, pretty hard to ban against that team. I think the best bet is to just try to stop anything that would be way too strong first set with the starting awakenings, right? At least for soon
Yeah.
DUBU strikers. And then on the other side, it's kind of the same type of thing. However, I feel like Grimella definitely a lot more comfortable on that Era, so that might be something we'll look that could be target banned here. Not too sure. The character's definitely been not weak lately, definitely still very strong, but more dependent on that Castle S, more dependent on that Chrono boost and stuff like that, right? So if that's not on the starting table, I'm not really sure what bans are going to be coming through. I really think this is just going to be an absolute, I mean, kind of coin flip of a series, if I put it like that. I
Yeah.
feel like at least it's gonna seem like that to us, right? Like I feel like it's gonna be incredibly back and forth.
And I think, like you mentioned, I do think it really does come down to those awakenings. And we even go back to that match that was played in week 2, where we saw some of those factors come into play, right? It was an all-out slugfest in the first game that these two played because it was a stinger start, and there were 33 team KOs for the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps against the Sundubu Strikers, who only had like 18. It was nearly double, just because they were able to rack up the damage, despite the fact that they were playing incredibly similar compositions. For the record, since we were talking about it, the bans in that series, Aesop's Little PogChamps banned Threezy Breezy's X away in both games. And then on the other side, the Sundubu Strikers banned Vice in game 1 and banned that rune away in game 2. We'll see, of course, what they elect to do. But at least in week 2, Borg, it sounded like Aesop's Little PogChamps didn't want to play up against the Threezy Breezy X.
I'm just gonna say I don't think that's happening again. X is definitely not the strongest character right now. I'm just being completely honest with you. I feel like the only way that happens is if it's like, honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe like Oni Village with Castellast start, but even then, I feel like they just banned the era. I don't know. I mean, X is just not the very strongest in the world right now. I feel like he's not. I don't know. X is in a weird state right now where it feels like if you buff him, he's just gonna become OP again. But it feels like if you nerf him or just don't touch him, then it feels like he's way out of the meta, right? Because of Julie and
Right.
Rasmus being so powerful. So I feel like nerfing them down would probably be a little bit of the better course to take. Zentaro as well, also incredibly strong in his own right, depending on, the map and the team comp. But Julie and Rasmus just kind of the kings and queen of the meta right now, right? It's just
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. We're seeing it in every single game. If you've been watching Pro League at all the OSPL, pretty much every single game. I know I've been playing Rasmus every single game to get into top 8, mainly because Zentaro is banned for me. Unlucky, but um,
Well,
really at the end of the day, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of Julie, a lot of Rasmus, depending on bans. I'm not too sure. I think we're going to be focused more on the brawlers here just because of how powerful they are. Possibly a rune ban, depending on the awakenings, like I said. I'm assuming if we get a Castellast start or a timeless start, rune's going to be banned, and then possibly Era be banned with that Castellast start.
Also worth noting, while we're talking about brawlers, we did actually see at one point in the league Gunner pick up a Rasmus in the game. So
Yeah.
Gunner does have a Rasmus as well, opting for maybe something like a Juliet Rasmus combination there, which would continually pump out that much damage for the side of Aesop's Little PogChamps. And we haven't seen as much of that kind of flexibility come out of the Sundubu Strikers overall, but Grimella has pulled out a Zentaro at least once in the league as well. So a little bit of tidbits again as we are trying to get into this one, folks. Again, we are encountering some technical difficulties as we get our match underway. So hopefully we'll be able to get into it as soon as we possibly can. But in the meantime, you're just going to have us theory crafting about what potentially we might see. But of course, Borg, in reality, it's all going to come down to what we see on those awakening screens when we first start up, or actually what the players see on the awakening screens on that starting carousel in addition to that map. Walk me through a little bit the nuances there that goes into the decision-making process when you see that starter awakenings and that map come up. What all is going through your mind right then and
Man, that's a little bit of a loaded question, but I'll try
there? I
to
know,
use.
I'm sure.
Well,
Try to
I'll
break
try
it
to,
down for me.
I'm gonna break it down, and I'm gonna do this very slowly and over the course of a lot of time, right? So
There we
that we
go.
can stall
Perfect.
out these technical difficulties we're calling them that are going on with the queues. So let's just start with one analogy. I kind of said earlier, right? With Castellast, it's a pretty simple one, right? If you're playing, say it's Night Market, and you get Castellast start, you want to play Julie, right? Rasmus still can work on that map, but Juliet incredibly strong on that map. Zentaro also pretty strong, but Juliet's kind of just the dominant figure on that map. Say that doesn't get banned out in general with Night Market, because say both sides want to play it. I don't think either side wants to play against an Era at that point with Castle Last Start, right? So I feel like Era is definitely one that's going to get banned. I said earlier Rune, mainly because Gunner plays it. Usually you don't really ban the Rune necessarily unless you know they play it because it's such an obscure character. But again, Castless or Timeless, definitely really good to ban off of that. Say, for example, Oni Village, we've actually been seeing Estelle come back into the meta a lot more, and especially with possibly, a Deadeye star or possibly a Stacks on Stacks start or something that would help her get around more. Estelle is just an absolute menace on that map and on Auten City as well, those open maps with the harder to get barriers. So You kind of just it really just depends on the team, right? That's one of the more nuanced, I guess, discussions and I guess topics in this game, and definitely add a lot more of that skill discrepancy is what do you ban and what do you pick, right? Because sometimes draft can win or lose you the game when the teams are so close together in skill, as we've been seeing pretty much all of NASL West, right? So
I
you
think
never know,
one of the
right?
other
I mean,
things
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the other things that might play a role there as well is now we are, what, 6 weeks into the season that these teams have been playing together for, and probably they were practicing ahead of this league as well. Of course, we've seen some rosters get mixed up for things like the Pro League, and maybe these teams will start sticking together or they'll completely go under some more revitalizations. But having that core idea, I think, Borg, of getting everyone on the same page on that starting awakening screen and being like, all right, this is the strategy. We've kind of thought through kind of what our general game plan is. We know the variations where we can try to mix things up if we see certain things. But the important part, I think, especially because that striker select goes by so quickly, to make sure that you're not throwing your teammates a complete wrench in their own plans, right? Making sure that everyone's on the same page as they get things set up here. And that's one of the things, in this kind of league environment that will probably start becoming higher and higher priority for our players as they start learning the game more, learning about each other more, and how they actually want to play as we keep rolling forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it happen, right? I think on one of my older teams, we just really couldn't come together on our draft choices, right? We all kind of had way differing opinions of the game, and we couldn't come to one conclusion on it. So we tended to draft or had like kind of change our idea mid draft, which ended up in just an awful team comp. And I mean, it's so hard to play when you're in a awful team comp, especially when you're, like I said earlier, close to skill in a lot of these teams and a lot of these players. Pretty much like we are now. I mean, the game feels right now, honestly, with this game, it feels kind of like we have one or two teams kind of pretty on top, and then everyone else is just kind of a soup, right? And there's like little bits and differences from that soup, and there's maybe one soup's a little hotter with this patch, maybe one soup's a little colder this patch, if you want to put it like that, right? That's a pretty good analogy, I think. But
Is the porridge too hot? Is the porridge too cold? Or is the porridge just
there's
right?
no just right, because just right in
There's
this
no
case,
just right?
I mean, in this case, it's just average, right? When I say
Oh,
too
all
hot, it
right.
means like they're a little better than everyone else, right?
I
They're
guess
feeling
that's fair.
a little hotter. That's why I didn't say porridge, because then it's a
But you don't want soup to burn your tongue either. We'll
yeah.
workshop it. We'll workshop it. We'll
We'll
workshop it.
workshop it. All right, yeah.
Uh,
I'll ask you about it
but
later.
look, to that end, right? We went into week 4 in the West League with 4 teams tied together, right? We were so close in the West League where so many of these matches came down to ties. I mean, let alone these two teams, ASOP's little pog champs, they finished second in the league with 3 ties, right? In their in matches that they've played. Of
Yeah.
course, DUBU Strikers walk away with 2 ties and 2 losses there as well. But look, I mean, it was so cutthroat. These teams are so close together, and that comes through in a lot of the gameplay that we do end up seeing. And I promise, folks, we'll be getting into games soon.
Very soon.
We're working through this as we start to get set up here. Trust me, I want to go to bed just as much as probably some of you want to go to bed. So we're not stalling this out because we just want to sit here and because we enjoy talking. Okay, although we would probably enjoy talking. I'm sure Borg could probably go on for lectures upon lectures about Omega Strikers, right?
Depends.
I'm sure you could just keep going and going and going, right? You've got all the knowledge. You're encyclopedia of information. You can just keep spewing it out and spitting it back to the audience.
Yeah, I think that's what they used to call me actually, the encyclopedia, right?
The
So
encyclopedia. That was your nickname in high
that
school.
is what they used to call me. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure. No, not in
yeah.
high school. I was like
Oh,
loser or something in high school. I don't really remember that one. But
the
anyway,
loser encyclopedia in high school,
that was a
maybe.
long time ago, K-Bot. We don't have to talk about, my high school experience. Let's talk about our Omega Strikers experience as we're loading into the game now, finally, on Autumn
Woo!
City. My favorite map. Just kidding. I hate this map. However, I would love to cast this map since it is a little bit more straightforward. A lot more things normally will happen. Not too much craziness on this map.
Not too much craziness, and it doesn't feel like we're going to get too much craziness out of the starter awakenings, which we can see because we are going to be watching a player perspective of this one. It's Stacks on Stacks and Egoist, and the bans come out. Drakkar and DUBU gets taken away from Geek here.
Yeah, I actually like the Drakkar ban on this map. I think Drakkar is just an absolutely insane character right now in general. And it keeps midfield pressure so incredibly well. and really just impossible to get past that shotgun, right? And on this open map where every single strike matters, right? Because the barrier is so easy to take and so hard to defend. It's going to be incredibly interesting here as we kind of get into lock-ins here. We see Kai Juliet forwards on the side of ASOP and Kai Rasmus Estelle. So I'm assuming it's an Rasmus Estelle forward on the side of soon to be strikers with the Kai goalie, and then the Kai goalie as well for ASOP's low pog chance. I believe everyone should be running stacks on stacks here. I wouldn't be surprised if 3Z ran Egoist. Nope, everyone running stacks on stacks. Open map, pretty easy to survive, lots of orbs. And yeah, I mean, pretty standard game so far. It's really just going to come down to this initial set on who can control the core more.
And we'll see, of course, getting yourself ahead in an early set will get you a little bit ahead on that carousel, get you some of those awakenings that you really want to pick up. And hey, it's looking like the ASOP's little PogChamps want to strike first. Just Schneider finds a nice dash punch KO onto one member there. And trying to convert on this power play, 3Z Breezy taking down rather low here as well. There's the Fiery Flurry comes out, and with a swipe of the scythe, it'll find the net as well. 1 goal up for the PogChamps.
Yeah, it felt like early on, you know, they had a little bit of a better kickoff, ASOP's the PogChamps did, with Gunnar just kind of controlling that core, keeping it forward a lot more, and JS is finding that early dash punch to really just secure them so much more pressure in that round, and Reznok just couldn't hold.
Couldn't quite hold that time around, and this time around, though, stagger bars looking a little lower for Schneider and Gunnar, and now perhaps we'll start to see this one go a little bit in the other direction, but no, actually Gunnar's still in position and already using that energy burst, trying to keep this pressure forward here for the PogChamps.
Yeah, and Breezy trying to hit level 2 here, which he'll get off of this orb. Reznok up to Grimella, you know, trying to give it to the Estelle and to the Rasmus. Really good playmakers, as we see there. Pull onto Geek, actually. Great play to get him away from that core. Breezy looking for a goal opportunity here, not quite able to find it. Grimella just going to kind of get it to Reznok. Has core flip, no big risk here as they have their barrier up still. As I say that.
Pendulum swing, yeah. Pendulum swing finds the barrier. Now, of course, right in front. Reznok forced to use that energy burst to get it away. And Gunnar trying to dribble this core now. Schneider forced to retreat, goes up for the orb here, backs away. That up opens up this core flip opportunity, but that one gets sent away by Geek's Barrage. Giga Blast doesn't quite connect. It was so close, but not this time. And Gunnar, high stacks here. We're starting to get up in those stack numbers, so expect these strikers to start running around the arena now. Geek now down to JSS. Not going to connect now. Gunnar has another core flip available. Will immediately burn it, but now can't do it here. 3Z tries to sneak it in the top corner, but no, that one's denied. Giga Blast will send 3Z backwards, and Grimella can't find the Rose Warp back away. Maybe this will start turning around, but no. Still can't find the goal. Both these goalies able to come in with things for now, and you see the rotations back as well from the forwards in order to collect the core and provide a little bit of extra support. Grimella, piercing shot, lands on Geek, who is rather low in stagger at this point as well. Wouldn't be surprised for this larger, heavy damage composition to start racking some of those up. Giga Blast exchanged the midfield line. Core gets sent all over the place. Now, right on back up to this top corner where it seems to be hanging out for quite some time. Barrage, once again, out of Reznok. There's a strike shot as well, but now past the 3Z. Can't seem to find the angle, pulls it back, waits for this one, no. Able to get defended by Geek, and now Schneider has found a punch out of the arena. There's the core flip that comes through as well. And all of that, all the exchanges, all the energy bursts end up going to the PogChamps.
Yeah, and one thing to kind of note here is ASOP's PogChamps did burn 2 core flips in order to save that, and then obviously JS is finding that crucial dash punch onto Grimella, which really just opened up that point, right? I think we saw 3Z and Grimella right there, as we see again, 3Z with that great KO. We're going to see a lot more pressure from Grimella and 3Z right now as they get the first barrier, looking to secure the first point in this set, as they've been doing just so much pressure, but they really got to watch out for those Julie dash punches, right? They can't get KO'd because as soon as they get KO'd, it feels like it all falls apart.
Pendulum swing out of Gunnar here as well, trying to dig it out of this top corner, but still gets sent away. Now pulls it back. No dice this time around as Reznok is still there. Geek tries to give it the pressure with a strike shot. That'll land over to Gunnar, but no, nice block off the top corner as that one will finally go back to the other way. Now Grimella trying to get this up, but no. Will lose possession of the core. Reznok forced to use that barrage to send it away. Once again, Geek, nice strike shot, sends it back forward. And now the Giga Blast is able to do that. Met with the Crystallized Thorns as well. But it won't happen now. Gunnar up to Schneider, looking for this pass. Now trying to send it forward, and there's the dash to come on through. JSS, 3 goals on the board here for the PogChamps.
Yeah, I mean, 3Z and Grimella getting that pressure, like I was saying, but really just not able to convert on these goals, right? Really just struggling to find the goals because, whether it's Geek playing incredibly well on some of those clears like we saw, or just, a little bit of miscommunication on either abilities. And the Julia, a lot easier to score with, really. Dash Punch, that's pretty much all you need. And JSS finding a couple of them in this set. So definitely a good 3-0 start as we get into draft here, actually. Spark of Resilience, first pick from JSS. Very interesting here, but definitely not the worst, as Sparks are fairly strong. Missile Prop onto Reznok or Ponderer onto 3Z Breezy. Really, really good on Authenticity. You got Chrono Boost on the Kai, Rapid Fire onto Gunner. And then I believe Grimella took Reverberation. Yep. So going to be stacking that stagger bar a little bit more, trying not to die as much.
Yeah, indeed there. And one of the things, I want to go back to, even before we start talking more about the Awakenings here, was you were talking about the fact that this Juliet is going to be generally easier to score with. As you see right there, Fiery Flurry in front of the barrier nearly guarantees a barrier in a lot of cases, whereas don't really have that same scoring power potential out of either of the two forwards. Maybe you can argue Estelle here a little bit, but even then, Estelle's best capitalizing on trying to get, awkward clear angle from your opposing goalie. But now, trying to find this one. Energy Burst used it of Gunner, who's had to have had like 4 or 5 already at this point in the match. Grimella tries to dribble, won't find it this time around. Reznok's Giga Blast won't connect either. And now here's Core Flips exchanged. Schneider will come out on top this time around. Now, trying to find this one up to Gunner, but both will be forced to retreat as now Reznok's looking to come on the offensive. There's the Core Flip used. That one got sent away by Gunner as well. Crystallized Thorns, but there are still 2 members back for the PogChamps. There's to the bottom corner, but no, once again gets sent away, and Geek is speeding all over the map. Now, power play opportunity though. They found the KO onto Schneider, but will they be able to capitalize here? Geek has plenty of time to be able to kill this one away, and not real possession here on the side of 3Z Breezy and Grimella, which means that Schneider will come back online. Dash Punch, Core to the top corner. No, can't find it for now. Trying to come up with something here, and still, again, haven't been able to find the angle to put it back, but there's a nice Core Flip out of Gunner. Once again, sends it out. Waits, I think, critically there for Reznok's Barrage to go out.
Yeah, I mean, Geek is just absolutely holding it down this game.
Yeah.
Really playing incredibly well in this Kai, not giving Grimella and 3Z any chances. And kind of like we were saying earlier, while Juliet does have the bit of the easier, I'd argue that the Estelle plus Rasmus combo actually has better goal opportunities scoring, because especially on this map, Estelle is just so insanely powerful to actually score, right? And 3Z finding a great angle there to actually get that barrier, open up the goal early. And they really need to pull together a goal here soon, kind of, they're 0-4 right now on these goals. They really need to pull something together and try to get, a point to rally back a little bit, because they have the comp for it. I believe their comp is a little bit better on this map, personally. It's not by much, very, very small margins, as we're seeing Reznok absolutely defending here, actually. Grimella dribbling it upfield, trying to find something, but they're just taking so much damage in the process as Gunner has Core Flip, gets the barrier. Core Flips, not able to get it past.
Denied by Grimella that time around, and now Reznok shovels with the strike shot up to 3Z Breezy. Will he decide to use his Core Flip? Not this time. Now we'll use it in the midst of 2 of the members of the PogChamps, and ASOP's Energy Burst will also miss this time around. 3Z Breezy staggered. Might get sent off the map next. Grimella tries to find the angle on the piercing shot, but no dice this time around. 3Z Breezy trying to pull up some shenanigans in this top corner, but again, can't be too aggressive either, but a beautiful Core Flip. Gets the basically strikeout shot there coming through for Grimella from the top of the goal box. There's the first goal on the board, finally, for the Sundubi Strikers.
Yeah, and I mean, finally, right? We finally see a good use of Core Flip. It feels like on the side of ASOP's, or not, excuse me, not ASOP, Sundubu Strikers, their Core Flips have really just been trying to maintain control rather than, leverage that control that they already have, right? So I think they need to just slow it down, get control the old-fashioned way, right? They've been doing it all game, but as soon as they have Core Flip, stop being nervous. Get a little bit loose with it, right? Find the Core Flip, get the angle, take your time with it, and just like that, they find the pass, and they find a great KO there onto JSS and a quick power play, losing the barrier for it, but they might be able to get it back here for their trebles and even it up.
Strike shot will keep this alive, and again, Reznok playing super far forward here as well. The Core slips past Grimella again with enough interruptions coming from the other side. Geek still has Energy Burst up as well. They'll likely opt to use that actually there. Beautifully done at the edge of it there as well. Tries to save this. No, won't happen this time around. There's the Energy Burst just to stay alive for 3Z Breezy. Be forced to use it for now, and They don't have that massive tool at their disposal to try to score. Geek collects this one, looking for it. Gunnar takes that core out of a scary situation as now Grimella uses it past the midfield line, and that one finds the net. A little uncharacteristic there, I'm afraid, out of Geek.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think he was quite expecting that bounce, right? That was definitely in a really, really well-placed core flip there on that bounce on the bottom side there from Grimella. Pretty hard one to read as you don't quite know how high up it will bounce. The craziness of it going up on the top side of the field right now as it finally gets brought down. A little bit scared for a random dash punch, but not able to find it, JSS. As they're really just trying to get this barrier, but Geek a little bit upset about that last point, I think, and just absolutely running up now, playing the iron wall, but loses the barrier, steps up a bit too far.
Bit too far there. Well-timed core flip comes out of Resdock to secure it, and now all they've got to do is find a passing play here up to 3Z Breezy, but he's been so well covered, I think, by the members of PogChamps. I mean, JSS has been on top of 3Z Breezy nearly this entire time, and indeed, you see it again, forced away, and there's the Fiery Flurry that comes out as well to secure the KO. Power play opportunity to come through here. But no, possession lost. Grimella tries to buy a bit more time. Strike shot well done as well, keeping this on the blue side of the pitch for nearly this whole opportunity. Now this goes back the other direction, and it barely nicks the goal barrier. Grimella will use the Crystallized Thorns to try to get this one out of here. Now, core flip used. That one will die to the top side. And now Gunner's going to use his own as well, but that one immediately gets blocked by Grimella, and Geek will have to collect on the bottom side. Now the pass comes through. Rosewarp looking for this one. Back to 3Z Breezy, and that'll find the bottom corner. The Sunubi Strikers strike right back.
Yeah, I don't think Geek really actually realized that he lost that strike war. 3Z winning the strike war through two members of the PogChamps, actually. So definitely very well played from there. Well-placed shot as well with that core flip win. And it looks like he's going to be rewarded for his troubles. Oh, maybe not, because he is behind the other Rasmus, so he probably will not be able to get Big Fish. However, Grimella does get that primetime crucial training, or excuse me, awakening on to Estelle. We're going to be going Dancer on the goalies here. Pretty standard. Dancer onto Gunner, Dancer onto 3Z, and I believe the Juliet will be taking Big Fish here. It would make the most sense. Yep, size on Juliet kind of makes a lot of sense. And, you know, I'm a little surprised 3Z didn't take Big Fish, but he does have that. Oh, excuse me, Gunner actually has the Opronder. I'm very surprised 3Z didn't take that Big Fish. You know, leaves it up for JSS. And, you know, size on Rasmus is very good, but I think he's just valuing the orbs on Aten and that speed just a little bit more.
JSS deciding to not go for the Mayor of Sparkington build there. Had Spark of Focus up as well. But yeah, have to say, when you have this Juliet, having the ability to have your cooldowns up with those larger hitboxes will certainly be beneficial. There nearly finds the goal barrier as well, but right now it's all the soon-to-be Strikers who are going on a bit of a streak here. 3Z Breezy pulls it back looking for this one, but a nice barrage out of Geek to save it for now. Still going to be looking for possession here. Grimella tries to keep it up with the Rose Warp. There's Resnock as well with a core flip. Fiery Flurry comes out of JSS, but won't get anything for it. And now that massive cooldown is down for the PogChamps. There's a core flip used as well, immediately denied by Grimella again, but KO comes through. Power play opportunity, sneaks it right by as Geek was stuck in barrage. Another one for the Sundubu Strikers, and the momentum's all in their favor.
Yeah, well, I mean, amazing kill there from 3Z to get the core flip kill, actually, to remove Jesus from the field. And Grimella, just that's the second time, right, off that bottom corner, able to find these really well-placed energy bursts as Gunner finds a very well-placed pendulum swing to get that barrier early. And one thing I want to touch up on here, as we see an amazing core flip there, top corner just gets it in the demon angle from JSS. Right past that Kai barrage. I don't think Resnock thought that was going in. Really close shot, but, you know, quickly just kind of bringing it up here is I feel like Geek, you know, doing a good job pulling it down. We haven't really touched on Resnock, who's I feel like is playing incredibly well this game and actually keeping that core forward with his abilities and using those gigas to make sure that JSS cannot do what he wants in that midfield as well, and just giving his forwards so much more time.
And look, keeping the core on the other side of the pitch is exactly what both these Kais want to do, right? They don't have a lot in order to try to defend around these tight quarters fights in the goal box. They're trying to keep this core on the other side of the pitch and trying to do that here as well. Schneider will dump it off to Grimella now, trying to dig this out of the corner here as well. Comes through here with the core flip. Won't find much of it as Grimella is still on the top side of the map, able to take care of this core. Fire Flurry comes out. Now 3Z Breezy rather low, but still loses the barrier forward. Barrage will send the core flip away. Now Resnock walks forward, finds the core flip of his own. And it's set point for the third for the soon-to-be Strikers.
Like I said, Reznok, that forward pressure, really, he's not afraid to walk up and just do what he wants. We're seeing him play a lot more forward than Geek here because of that pressure, right? I feel like the double melee comp on the side of ASOP's PogChamps just not able to control the core and keep that space overall, but when they do get it into Reznok's goal, they do look incredibly dangerous. So Reznok saying, you know what, I don't need abilities to defend, let's just not have me defend in the first place, right? As Grimella almost has core flip here, looking to stay on that offensive. Really good Razmus look from Gunnar to redirect there, but Threezy doing a good job getting around it. And good attack here. Geek, great saves, not able to get that barrier.
Can't find the barrier yet. Grimella probably wishes he still had that energy burst, but it was taken care of by JSS, who forced the Fiery Flurry, looking for the KO on Grimella there. Grimella was forced to use that, but now Threezy Breezy might have a core flip up at his own in a moment, and now with the goal barrier down, things are starting to get a little dangerous. Pass backwards over to Reznok. Able to get sent away here as well, and now possession tries to remain to the favor of the PogChamps. Reznok going forward on the top side, gets met with Geek. Schneider trying to interrupt things as well, but not spread out enough to really capitalize on this. Now all of a sudden, all this open space. Grimella almost finds an angle, but no, they will send back to the goal bearer on the other side. JSS Fiery Flurry will deny the core flip for now. Giga Blast almost finds the mark. Won't this time around. Beautiful angle, but it's still sent away by Geek. Now the energy burst comes in as well. Grimella looking for this one. No, doesn't have the thorns up this time. Now it has it, but it's just a bit too late. Geek sends it away in time and now pulls it back. And that one will finally find its mark. Grimella once again. And we were talking, it was an early scare, but the soon-to-be Strikers have come roaring back.
Yeah, I think they found their stride. You know, Grimella being a lot more careful with his positioning, not getting caught by that dash punch anymore. You know, ASOP's PogChamps struggling to find kills now, which is what, you know, helped them get that first set in the beginning, right? Help them get that clean first set by finding so many of those kills. Ariel's going to go over to the side of Grimella, actually, which is going to help him position a little bit more aggressively, too, as he can just blick away whenever. I'm surprised, actually, Geek gave Reznok that specialized training, which is going to help him play forward even crazier, right? That specialized training, now that it's buffed actually a little bit too, 55% damage is going to be huge, right, for Reznok. And another thing that actually might be huge here is JSS with that agility spark. So he's going to be running a lot faster. He might be able to get a part of these plays more, maybe find a couple of these kills as he's able to get around a lot faster.
Largest thing, though, was that was the second and will be final spark coming in the carousels. We have now seen all four. So even if this does go to another set, JSS will not become the mayor this time around, and will only have two at his disposal. We'll have to pick up something else. We'll see what that something else might be if the PogChamps can win this. But look at all the pressure that comes out. I mean, where do you send the core? It's covered from every angle with a Giga Blast there, the thorns from the other side.
Yeah, pretty hard there. You know, it really just depended on JSS or Gunnar to win a strike core and get it past Grimella there, but Reznok providing that backup actually with the Giga and with the Barrage, as we were saying earlier, so that it just cannot get past Grimella. It's like two people for the price of one, right? You're really just shooting it from his own goal with that missile prop and with that specialized training. So incredibly hard to get it past them. And as we see the fire up go through, not quite able to get anything done with that, except they finally actually get a kill here. Threezy going to be flipping, trying to get that barrier. Great flip there from JSS, losing, getting a barrier with it by accident. Reznok mistiming that strike. And this power play is about to be over for nothing.
Can't find it for now, and now Geek sends it away with a strike shot. Well done to keep the barrier there as well. Crystallized Thorns come out, but it's still sent away by the PogChamps. They're saving things for now, and Geek once again with another close call will send it away. But Grimella Rose went right back to JSS, forces the energy burst out of Reznok, who won't have that at his disposal. And now two members in the corner here. Fire Flurry comes out, trying to find the strike, but no, it'll get sent away to the top corner as well. And the passing plays aren't coming through nearly as much as we thought they might be for the PogChamps. That's one of the things we were complimentary of them in early weeks of play. And now they haven't been able to seem to find them. But now Gunnar finds a goal. What an angle once again. Trying to find some kind of response here.
Yeah, I mean, Reznok playing a little bit far up, realizing, you know, he has that strike shot, playing a little greedy, thinking he might go to get it, and just misses that strike shot. Would have been an amazing save if he were to hit it, but not quite. You know, 1-1 now. Little PogChamps, you know, have that chance of actually coming back into this. I do believe they have it in them. They just need to somehow get it forward, keep it forward, right, with that Kai and with Gunnar's midfield potential. Because when JSS gets hold of that core, it feels like it's hard to stop him, right? Because Reznok using those abilities so often. Really hard to find time to get it as, ooh, hard time to get that barrier too. Not quite able to find it as they finally get it. Grimella also has an energy burst coming up soon, and this could be time for a play.
Looking for this now, trying to spread this one out, but Gunnar has the energy burst to send it back the other direction. Grimella will use it as well. And now Reznok almost too far out, but Gramella's back there with the Rose Warp to save it. Looking for this one, but GSS gets sent off the map now. Power play opportunity here. 3Z pulls it back, but isn't there in time. Wasn't expecting the core to connect with the ultimate there. And now Giga Blast actually blocked away by Gramella. Rose Warp comes in. 3Z looking for the angle, but no. Reznok steps forward. Now Strike Shot as well. Is both of these members, the midfielder and the goalie, both trying to keep the core on the other side of the pitch, trying to find something to go back in overtime here. And now Gramella's back in the corner. JSS looking for this one. 3Z, though, with the core flip, will be in position to send it back and put them on game point.
Yeah, nice core flip there from 3Z. Just, you know, waits just a second to see when Geek struck. Waits out the Geek strike there. Nothing to defend it because Gunnar did run up to cover that other side. And just great patience and great control there from Gramella. We saw a really clutch save with that aerials, actually. Really only able to get that because of it, and with able to get that KO because of it too, with that extra burst range. And then Geek trying to save here. You know, Gunnar not able to find the core flip. And Sunudu Strikers are just looking so dominant.
It doesn't feel like, you know, in one of those early sets, JSS was able to catch the Sunubu Strikers off guard with a dash punch here or there, open up a KO, and have a lot more power play opportunities. But we haven't seen a lot of KOs out of Schneider in the past few volleys, and have to wonder if that was part of the game plan that's potentially falling apart here, especially if you're picking Erasmus as well, trying to rack up the damage, send them flying across the map. But Sunubu Strikers have been elusive, at least so far, and Gramella playing defensively with this Rose Warp. But now, finally, an opportunity comes through as the KOs onto 3Z. Fiery Flurry comes out here, but Geek isn't forward. Will elect to try to just send this one the right way with that strike shot. And now JSS comes up with a goal there. Uses all the tools of Juliet's arsenal to put it back and try to contest this fourth set.
You know, they found that power play. They found that forward pressure, you know. Kind of just a couple mistakes can lead to being on defense for the next, 5-10 seconds, right? And 5-10 seconds is all they needed for JSS to find that dash punch and really finally, get a point for himself. Started to, actually get the pieces together as Gramilla finds that core flip, gets it out of their side of the map. But it looks like they're kind of hunting now. They're running full steam.
Well, they have to run full steam. It's now or never. Because if another goal goes in for the Sunubu Strikers, it's game one already to them in this best of 3. And now we'll be looking for this one. Schneider not in position with the Fire Flurry. There's a Giga Blast, tries to keep it up, but no, doesn't find the connection to Schneider. Pendulum Swing as well, tries to keep the pressure up here, but still possession of the core and enough projectiles keeping this core away. Strike Shot Barrage as well comes through. Gramella backs away, plays more defensively with low on stagger. Schneider tries to find the angle, but no, won't get it this time around. There it is, finally it goes through, and we're going to a set 5.
Yeah, I mean, just great play there from Gunnar, actually, to keep it forward, and JSS able to put it away, staying calm, not getting KO'd, just waiting it out, letting his midfielder do his job. And as we get into draft here, one thing that I was going to talk about and think about here is that Built Different's still on the map, right? So Built Different was never picked up, and actually, a little bit weird here now. We see Gunnar take that Orb Replicator, I think rightfully so, on Authenticity, having both Ponder and Speed Orb as well. I definitely think it'd be really good. And Geek taking that extra special away from Reznok. Reznok getting the last cannon, though, very, very good. However, 3Z Breezy does actually get a size training now. He gets that Built Different, and that could be absolutely huge for the side of Sunubu Strikers. Size on Rasmus is only second to size on Julie, right? That character with size. Size in general is just such an amazing stat, right? It's just an insanely, I don't really want to say overtuned, but maybe a little overtuned stat, right? Especially for these brawler characters, as we're, maybe it's not doing too much now as 3Z Breezy's kind of getting low.
Core nearly finds the barrier, but bounces straight back out of the corner, and now Reznok tries to collect this one, but no, isn't there in time, and JSS is there to punish. The first goal goes back to ASOP's little PogChamps, and other thing, you mentioned it there briefly, but with Gunnar, Orb Ponder, Orb Dancer, and the Orb sharing online here as well, the extra speed, the extra cooldown reduction on everyone on the map has to make them feeling pretty good as they're able to play that much more offensively anytime these orbs comes up, and they don't even need the orbs maybe. As the goal barrier already falls, Gunnar uses that energy burst as well here, and now Schneider tries to go forward, has that at his disposal as well. Fiery Flurry comes out, there it is, it'll get denied by 3Z Breezy, but Reznok burns the energy burst as well, and there's nothing back to defend from the Juliet's dash. It's game point for the PogChamps now.
I'm afraid Orbius has entered the battlefield. and it is very, very hard to remove him once he has stepped on. And, you know, with Rasmus and being it on the midfielder as well, it's so incredibly easy to just hit that core forward and then run back and get 2-3 orbs, right? Especially on Offense City, the scariest map for this build. And really, we just have to see a better control out of Grimella and out of Breezy here because they haven't been able to keep control of it. The core is going so incredibly fast, as we see right here. And Gunnar and JSS getting so many core flips because of these orbs.
Yeah, how do you possibly try to keep control of the core when you've got the two forwards running around the map whenever they please because they've got an 80% speed boost online for 8 seconds every time there's an orb up? I mean, it's ridiculous here on Otten City. Schneider, though, not in position to punish this one around. Again, game point, trying to put them ahead in this best-of-3 series. But now, maybe momentum back the other direction. Barrage comes through, interrupts things from 3Z Breezy, and now a Barrage will come through to interrupt things for Schneider. Geek will let the goal barrier fall for now. And all of a sudden, one goal both ways, looking for this one. Schneider gets sent off of the pitch as well. Reznok back to pick this one up. There's the core flip out of 3Z Breezy. We'll beat it out of Geek. Gunnar almost finds the angle to send us away from Otten City. But now 3Z Breezy in the corner to himself and puts it back. Well played. Here it comes, Borg. You were talking about this in this Week 2 match. The DUBU Strikers clutch factor, never doubt it.
I mean, the clutch factor, they have it, right? I think these heroic plays are what they're going to need, right, to overcome Orbius. Because, I mean, they're just going to get steamrolled otherwise, right? They need to find these kills and punish these orb takes here. They need to find these random goal barriers and these random goals from that Estelle, but they have the comp to do it. They have the trainings to do it. Can they do it is the only question, right?
Energy burst out of Gunnar, now out of Schneider. We'll get it out of Reznok here. And now, still though, both goal barriers online early in this rally. 3Z Breezy sent away, staggered from that Giga Blast, but already, actually, regeneration comes in quite nicely with that orb stolen away from the other side. But we'll see if things will start to pick up here. Now, power play opportunity though, is 3Z still sent off the Mac in that staggered state. Grimella, Energy Burst, sends it back. Geek, no, we'll send it back the other direction and find the goal barrier as well. JSS tries to send this one forward. Reznok, once again, Strike Shot tries to interrupt things, and now Grimella is there as well to crystallize Thorns. Here comes the panic mode out of the DUBU Strikers, looking to send this one away, and they will with 3Z Breezy's sight. We're in overtime now. They've survived long enough, but JSS finds another KO. This might be it, but no. Sends it back over to 3Z Breezy. Reznok still back there, able to collect this one. Now forward. There it is. The energy burst right to the hands of Schneider, who puts it back. And PogChamps take the first map in this best-of-3.
You know, looking at Gunnar's build now, I also forgot he has the fire up as well, right? And so with all these orbs too, he's getting XP on everybody, right? And with the more XP, excuse me, not XP, energy onto everybody, including himself. And as he flips, he's also giving energy. He's basically just a support, right? It's a support Rasmus build. Support Rasmus with, I mean, still 40,000 damage, not quite as much as 3Z, as we see actually the damage in the KOs here. JSS able to get 7 as he found a couple in the end that last set as well, as I think it was about 3, maybe 4 in that first set.
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, lots of redirects. You know, Grimella, 317, breaking that 300 mark. Definitely played very well, him and 3Z both. It just felt like, you know, they kind of lost in the draft at the end there, right? Pretty hard as they, you know, they had to take that 4th set, right? It's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They had to take that 4th set because orb replicators left, build difference left, and with Gunnar getting that first pick, there's no way to deny it.
Yeah, the momentum of that 4th carousel really sent them through to the victory here. And we were talking so much about Gunnar's build there, and enough was able to come online, especially earlier on for Schneider, to the point where you give him a little bit of extra speed, a little bit of extra cooldown reduction out of those orbs, and all of a sudden, this Juliet is fully online, finds a few of those extra KOs, probably especially because the DUBU Strikers are like, okay, surely he doesn't have dash punch up. Oh, wait. He did. and then the energy burst comes in on top of that and it all. And it really did came together there in the late game. Remember, ASOP's little PogChamp started that entire game with a 3-0 shutout off rip. Because Schneider was able to find a lot of those knockouts early when there were a few awakenings on. In the mid game, we started to see more of a takeover from the side of the DUBU Strikers. And then later in the stages, we saw Orbius come fully online. He had returned, and he decided to start orbing all over the place.
An orb they did, as we saw in that last set. Definitely go rewatch that if you guys want to see an incredibly broken build, right? And see the potential of it in this game if you can draft correctly. Drafting is important, guys, because you can just do that. If you don't even have to have skill, right? There was almost barely any skill they had into that, right? I mean, obviously they played incredibly well to finish off that set, right? Still couldn't, they still had to defend those incredibly hard pushes from Grimilla and from 3Z. But man, when you have core flip every 3 seconds, it becomes a lot easier, right? And you have speed every,
Yeah.
pretty much off cooldown. It's also a little bit easier. So congrats to ASOP's with PogChamps for that first set, but it's not over yet. It's a best of 3. ASOP's with PogChamps were looking incredibly good. And you have to wonder, K-Bot, if they didn't let that first set go, right, to those random dash punches and just getting KO randomly, I feel like that game might have gone another way.
There's always a chance, but now they've got the opportunity to right their wrongs as we head into our second game. It'll take place on Night Market with our starter awakenings of Glass Cannon, Castellast online, and I have a feeling this could mix up our striker select quite a bit here, Borg.
So I'm pretty sure what's going to happen here is if they don't rune ban, it's going to be Rune Juliet. And if they, okay, so they do ban. So it's going to be Rune Juliet. And on the other side, it's probably going to be Era Juliet, maybe Era X if, 3Z's feeling a little spicy because this would be the time to pull it out. I do think Julie's a little bit better still overall, but I think these awakenings are definitely better to the Atlas for Geek.
Atlas comes out here, maybe not super surprising, has a little bit of extra speed as well, given the fact that that Glass Cannon was online. And for the record, folks, that's 2 for 2 bans away to Resnox Drakkar and Geek's Ice Skates DUBU. Remember, Stacks on Stacks was in the starter awakenings in the last one. This time it's Glass Cannon. They do not want to let Geek on this DUBU for now. But early on here, we'll see because, hey, look, this is a tried and true composition for the Sundubu Strikers, right? This brawler out of 3Z Breezy, most often the X, maybe the Juliet, and Grimella on the Era, something that these two have played so much together. But this is exactly why you don't want to see a rune in your game, as 3Z Breezy's health bar got taken down by 2/3, and now all of a sudden Geek starts to move forward a little bit. Has to be a little bit careful now that 3Z Breezy starts to regenerate, but we'll see what comes of this one. As a little bit of a slower start here on Night Market.
Yeah, and one thing, we definitely got to see with that rune in the game is you have to find those evades, right? Gunnar, probably one of the best rune forwards that we can see right now in the game. He's been practicing it so much, literally since the start of the game in Alpha, right? So he has a lot of experience on this pick. As we see a core flip from Grunella, flip and dip. Don't believe he dipped on purpose, but, not able to find that strike. But look how low they are, right? One banish, and they're going to be dead because these pillars are going to be doing so much damage, right? So they really have to find these evade timings and find these KOs. Does JSS have right there? Actually not able to dodge that as he did not have any evade. Not that he could anyway. And power play now for ASOP's with PogChamps.
Power play opportunity, but a beautiful anomaly comes through out of Gunnar to secure the goal barrier. Now it's an open net here. JSS right in position, sends it around Resnock to the top corner. And once again, the PogChamps strike first.
Yeah, I feel like Grimella and 3Z, they have to keep their health bars up, right? They have to keep that orb control, keep their health bars up, keep that pressure up, because if one of them dies, I mean, Julie Rune is just such a hard... I mean, Julie herself, just on this map, is so hard to defend by yourself, right? So definitely going to be looking for that banish. Dodges it there, so actually get a little bit of breathing room now for 3Z, and we're going to possibly be seeing a play on the other side of the field.
See what happens here, but no, actually, Core goes right on over to Schneider, and Geek once again getting pretty involved on this Atlas. Crossing up to that midfield line, trying to apply a little bit of extra pressure, a little bit of extra damage. You can tell, certainly, the ideas are there. Rack up the damage with Gunnar's Rune, maybe a little bit of chip in from Geek's Atlas, and then let Schneider finish the job with a Juliet punch away, and now was dangerously close there to getting KO'd. I don't think anything came out in time with the dodge and the Celestial intervention, but now KO comes through. Power play opportunity here. Will they be able to find this one? Not quite. That Speedus gets a little in the way here for the Sundubu Strikers, and Gunner's in the way as well. Interrupts the pass, and both goal barriers remain standing right now for the PogChamps.
Yeah, I mean, pretty slow set. It's already overtime, and only one goal barrier has gone down. Very uncharacteristic, actually, for this map, I believe. But both goalies playing incredibly well. 3Z, realizing that and trying to take the goalie out, going a little bit of Oki mode on the Geek, and he actually takes him out. So we're probably going to see the other barrier going down. Yep, 3Z able to hit that, no problem, and a goal opportunity now for the next 5 seconds.
We'll see if they can find it here. Gunner is the last one back, does have that core flip at disposal, but a beautiful banish of the core comes through, stalls for time, and now Geek is right back online in position. Gigablast tries to come out of Reznok, looking for some kind of an angle here on the bottom side of the map, but now a pillar comes out, finds the other goal barrier. Gunner core flips will get it out of Reznok here as well. Breezy Breezy is backed away, trying to bully JSS's Juliet away in the bottom side, but he's still there. Tries to send one towards the net, but no, not this time. Maelstrom now comes out of Grimella. We'll start to see that become more and more of a player, especially as we start talking about these Awakenings drafts. But as I feel like we should be talking about now at this point, but only one goal's got in the net so far. Both these goalies still keeping it out, now playing basically ping pong with one another as they are doing so. Now, oh no, Geek a little too far forward, and the projectile doesn't connect with the core. This one will find the net. Grimella gets credit for it.
Yeah, the fade away from Grimella, they're actually running backwards to not get KO'd, just hitting that strike in desperation, and Geek just not quite in position, as so is Reznok not quite in position to save that bottom barrier, but should not be a big deal. You know, still has one to play with. One's all you need, really, as Threezy gets in here, trying to get one for himself. A little bit of lag there, it looked like, actually, as he's teleporting around. Hopefully that doesn't matter too much here in the rest of these games. But keeping it forward now, Grimella winning so many strike wars, as finally gets it past him. And Geek playing so far up, trying to get that core flip as he finally gets it. Only one strike he needed. Breezy just trying to make a play, finally gets one of the barriers here. And even game here for barriers.
And hey, this is exactly where the X wants to be. As soon as Threezy starts feeling more confident in this X and knows that he won't be bullied around and instead be the bully, he'll try to go away, but it's hard to do that when Banish double pillar comes out. He gets sent off of the pitch immediately, and it's a double KOs. Grimella was sent away as well. Reznok, only so much you can do in this position before the goal inevitably goes in.
Yeah, I believe Geek, the Atlas primary, actually got that ending KO there, which we definitely don't get to see all the time, but always a treat to witness when it does happen. And Geek, another crucial thing there with that power play, you know, pretty standard goal there. Reznok not able to do much, but able to keep his core flip, right? So Geek just holding that core flip, gonna be really, really hard for the soon DUBU strikers to burn that out outside of the Atlas abilities as well, you know?
Pillar comes out here. Threezy Breezy almost sends the bell ringer back the other way with the core. The goal barrier will stand for now, and still having a bit of difficulty here, it seems like, for the soon DUBU strikers. It doesn't feel like they're in position, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the more time this core spends neutrally, the better it's generally going to be for the PogChamps. As now second barrier falls as well. Core flip comes out, and that one will also find the angle as Schneider is able to punch it by. But I mean, it feels like the more this one's in neutral, the more Gunner's going to have these anomalies come up out of cooldown, and will be able to influence the map that much more.
Yeah, really the key here for this game are these banishes, right? Are these unstable anomalies? And with extra special being on Infinite, you know, or Primetime, I'm not really sure what he's going to be taking here. Both incredibly good picks. He will take the Primetime. Doesn't feel like he needs that extra cooldown. Reznok taking the aerials, getting a little bit extra range, a little bit longer dash CD. Built different on the Julie, nothing surprising there. Stacks on stacks for Grimella, incredibly good training. I believe size will be taken away from the X. Don't want X to have that size. He'll probably be taking quick strikes or extra special, takes the Happy Star, wants more of those ult subs since he already has the cast to last, right? And that's kind of huge, right? There's no more size trainings on the field, so Threezy stuck on normal size.
Stuck on normal size, which would be a huge detriment for this X. We'll see if he can find something else, but now Castellas gets banished for it. And there's the double anomaly coming out again on the other side of the pitch. Power play opportunity here. Nice send away by Reznok up to this corner. Looks like that clear angle wasn't quite anticipated.
Yeah, and, you know, great pillar there, I believe that actually was to get that last barrier. Reznok just getting bullied by JSS overall. And Threezy and Grimella, I feel like they're just struggling to actually get it through Geek. But you know who isn't struggling is JSS, just punching it through again and again. And man, this game's looking the same as last so far with those 4 goals. And then last game, if we saw it correctly, soon DUBU strikers able to turn it back into their favor on this point. So let's see if they can get the same at game 1 here.
I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here, Borg, but now, oh no, it might be 5 straight for ASOP's little PogChamps, as now power play opportunity comes out as well, and perhaps Threezy Breeze will be next to follow as the Fiery Flurry will find the finish to the combo as well. Gunner in position. Reznok uses that energy burst, but JSS is there with a punch, stunning Reznok back. And once again, 5 goals unanswered in favor of the PogChamps.
Yeah, I mean, they really just need to be avoiding these unstable anomalies. They cannot be banished, because as soon as they get banished, Gunnar, he's good enough at the character to always guarantee at least a kill, right? Or at the very least, just completely tearing up at least 1 or 2 members' health bars, right? So we need to see 3Z and Grimella evading these banishes, because they can't leave Reznok alone against these teams.
And the other thing here is, to that end, right? Reznok has gotten stuffed more times than he'd like to admit. Again, by the fact that he doesn't have that now. This time, Energy Burst will finish one off. 3Z Breezy gets sent off as well, and it's the 3rd double KO in this game so far. Reznok tries here. Fiery Flurry out of JSS. There's the punch coming through. Geek gets involved, but Grimella's back online. Still able to save it at least for now, and 3Z Breezy's back online as well. Emotes exchange. JSS still in position, but still hasn't been able to send it away, and Reznok once again finds the clear angle, just barely. Power play not capitalized on this time around, and maybe a bit of confidence restored here for the Sundubu Strikers, but again, they have to answer with a goal. Now, core flip used out of Geek. That one nearly goes to the net, but Reznok's still back to send it away as well. Maelstrom comes out here and looking for this one, but 3Z Breezy still low on Stagger, now sent away. There's a primary that comes out once again as well. And it's another power play opportunity. Strike shot right into the anomaly and right to the hands of JSS. Beautiful angles and executions there on that assist from Gunnar to secure 6 consecutive goals.
Yeah, I mean, just so incredibly hard, like I said, with these banishes. Just, if you're not able to evade them, you're just getting chunked, if not killed outright immediately. And it's so hard with X, you know, having that slightly bigger character model. Very incredibly hard to actually dodge away that things as he gets rewarded for his efforts and gets his best in slot, for the most part, Timeless Creator onto that rune. This is going to be very, very hard for Sundubu Strikers here, as we see heavy impact on Reznok, tempo swing onto the Juliet, fire up on the side of Grimella. Not really sure if we're going to be seeing too much value out of that there, as he, you know, has been dead most of the game with the stacks as well. So I think the tale of the tale of this game is, if they can stay alive and they can keep up the pressure, I think Sundubu Strikers have a chance, but they really just, you know, great start there actually with 3Z evading that banish and using that ult for it, but has the happy star, so we'll have that up momentarily again. And they really just got to abuse these timings with no banishes up.
Oh, Schneider looking for one here. Grimello low on Stagger, trying to use the speed boost to get away here as well. But again, still looking for a goal. Haven't been able to find it so far, the Sundubu Strikers. And one of the other things to consider here is a little bit more nerves probably for the Sundubu Strikers, right? You lost that last one after getting it ripped from your claws in that final set. It was always in your control, but finally, 1 goal barrier will fall. But 3Z Breezy forced it back on away. Gonna take their side on that ore, but still gets punished for it nonetheless by Schneider, who now is going to dash punch Reznok away, find this other barrier as well. And once again, the PogChamps looking to keep this one forward. Nice anomaly comes through again. There's the energy burst as well, and Gunnar will put it straight back to the net.
You know, Grimella buying as much time as he could there, but just could not get quite enough, as 3Z respawns basically at the same time as that core flip comes out. Going through, I mean, 2 people right away. Not really, I think a little bit of miscommunication, you know, not too much, maybe a little bit of panic. Obviously, you know, they're kind of behind 7 goals here unanswered. So I would be panicking a bit as well here too, as JSS finds another KO. And with that core flip up, it just seems a little bit doomed at this rate.
It's a 6 KO streak for JSS, 7 goals unanswered for the PogChamps, and they only stand 2 goals away from advancing on the winner's side of the Western playoffs. We'll see if they can do it here, but now have to try to recollect yourselves right now if they're Sundubu Strikers, but you can't do that when you get constantly punched away by JSS. That's now a 7 KO streak for the Juliet of the PogChamps, and now we'll see. Anomaly comes through. Reznok able to save it here, trying to get this around the barrier, but Gunnar still locking down one of these lanes. Maelstrom comes out, bullies Gunnar away for a moment. Now 3Z Breezy finally able to do it, but no! Gets saved by the Celestial Intervention once again, and might only be back up on half health, but now is nearly back up to full, as Breezy can't find the KO here on this X. Finally he'll find the 1 goal barrier, but now Will they be able to find the second? Maelstrom out, looking for this one. No. JSS, 8 KO streak now in a row. Geek gets involved here, looking for this one as well. Trying to get this one back up to JSS. Breezy buys some time, sending it to the top side of the pitch, but Geek is able to nearly beat him there with the Atlas speed, gets the assist up to Schneider, and it's match point for the ASOP's little PogChamps.
You know, it feels like watching out, their eyes are on that rune, right? The rune hasn't been able to find a lot of banishes this set at all. However, with their eyes on the rune, their eyes are not on Lol JSS, who is just dash punching them every single time. 8 KO streak, right? And just getting so much space. But as I say that, Breezy able to find a kill with that Atlas ult being down, I believe. But Reznok, a little slip up on that strike, losing both barriers here. Breezy and Grimel are really happy with this next barrier before JSS comes back up, and not able to find it. He comes back up and open goal barriers for ASOP's little PogChamps, and they're going to need to kick in at overdrive as this is match point.
Breezy looking for the KO, chasing Geek all across this, but Geek's still able to evade for now, and now Grimella gets caught off again by the dash punch. Gutter's in position, and there's the securing goal. 9 goals to 0 in the second game for ASOP's little PogChamps as they advance in the winner's side of the Western playoffs.
That was, I mean, we'll see the game time here soon, but pretty quick game. I mean, respectfully, I think they want to go to bed as well, right? I mean, they really just put that one away. 15-minute 30 game, fairly quick on that night markets, and 10 KOs on JSS final score here. Oh. And one thing I kind of want to touch up on, looking at the score, right? Breezy doing almost 30k damage, but getting only 1 kill to his name, right? And the only kills they really were able to have is this random Gigablasts that just Geek could not react to with that Atlas ult, and a great pick from Geek here with that Atlas, actually, just to touch on that real quick. Basically, Era X's strength as a team comp is they're able to whittle down people with the shrinks, with the consistent X damage, right? But when you have an Atlas, for when they finally break and you finally get that kill, they just res for free, and then you can't kill them again for another 2-3 rotations and abilities. So great pick there. I believe that was a bit of an outdraft. Juliet incredibly good on that map. And Rune, I mean, we saw the power of it there, right? We talked about it before the match even started, and the cast last start, like I said. So all things kind of went to plan, as the pregame narrative tends to go. So I mean, I think my MVP of that game was definitely going to be Gunner. The first 2 sets, I mean, he just put out so much pressure. It was ridiculous.
And to that end, right, you think from the DUBU Strikers perspective, after losing that 5th set, after going down in that first set, and then you see the first carousel and you get like nothing, your X is forced to pick Happy Star because that's the best option available to him because everything else was taken off the board ahead of time. And you sit there for the DUBU Strikers and you go, what draw did we get here? Wasn't their turn to take this game. And indeed, 9-0 capitalization from ASOP's little PogChamps, who still look incredibly strong as we gear up for the rest of what we'll see here in the Western playoffs. Of course, the other winner's semifinal match has yet to happen. That'll take place this Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 11 p.m. Eastern time between Bounty Hunters and Otaku Hideout. Real quick, Borg, since you won't be on that cast, who do you think you've got for that match that'll be coming up to decide the other side of our winner's bracket?
As much as I love upsets and as much as I love Otaku Hideout, I don't think there's any world where Bounty Hunters loses. Respectfully, they've been so dominant throughout the split, right? And I think a lot of the East teams saying, I mean, the common narrative among the East players is that Bounty Hunters is by far the best team. They would pretty much be a pretty good team on the East bracket as well. And we've been seeing it, right? I mean, for a reason, Kinoob and Gravity, both incredibly strong forwards. And then Gumi, Tournament Gumi specifically. By the way, this dude kicks it into another gear whenever there is a match on the line and just plays out of his mind. And so with all of those 3 factors, and the fact that there's not many, Gravity having that Juno pick too, and Juno being not a very popular character, so not many people maybe want to ban it, or even if they do ban it, right? There's so many other things in meta that midfielders can play. It's like, it feels like a wasted ban, right? Yeah. So I think just incredibly strong team, especially in this meta. I believe Otaku Hideout, with the right map and the right awakenings, can possibly squeeze, a couple sets, maybe get a game for themselves, but I don't think there's any way Bounty Hunters lose that.
We'll see what ends up happening. Of course, the winner of that match between the Bounty Hunters and Otaku Hideout will go up to face ASOP's Little PogChamps in the winners final, and the loser will drop down to meet the DUBU Strikers. They're not out yet, Borg. DUBU Strikers, though, have to find a way to recollect themselves and try to bounce back to be ready for next week's games.
Yeah, so definitely not over yet for the DUBU Strikers. I felt like they played fairly well on that first game. Definitely had so many chances. Just it kind of came down to the wire, came down to the draft. And that second game was basically all the draft, right? The X just getting denied all their trainings on that first carousel. And overall, just a champion outdraft with that, like I said earlier, that Atlas into the Era X, very, very good pick. And that Rune just able to punish 3Z every single time he stepped up. And then the dash punches at the end of that set. I mean, just killing Grimella off cooldown. It felt like not quite what you want to see. But, you know, congrats to ASOP's Little PogChamps getting into the winner's side here, winners finals. So they definitely on a really great path to actually start getting a little bit of prize money, right? So as long as nothing goes too incredibly wrong for them, they should still, I believe they're still secure third now, right? So even if they lose
they
the
have
winners
secured
match, so
third.
they are secured third. So definitely congrats to them for getting this far already. Quick 2-0, I believe, you know, I don't believe we're having an interview or anything like that. So just,
Oh,
yeah, no interview. You know, we'll leave that for the end, right?
that's
The
it. Borg,
big winner.
where can the people find you? Any other shout outs you want to give?
All right, I'll stop ranting. You can find me at Jord_OS on Twitter or on Twitch. Twitter, I don't really do much on there, so mainly just Twitch. You can find me on there. I stream a little more often now than I did before, I will say. You know, like getting these in-houses and these solo queues, you know, someone's got to stream, right? And if Ignis is the only one doing it, someone else has to. So you can check me out there and obviously on the cast here later on in the playoffs.
You also will be playing in Pro League, right?
That
Your
is
team
true.
made
Yep,
top
that is
8.
true.
You get to face off against the Bounty Hunters, who we just got to talk about. So that'll be a fun one to watch out for. Folks, you can find me on Twitter at kbot_273 and on Twitch. Hopefully my gold level streams will return maybe in like 2 weeks or so when I get back home. That'll be fun, and you'll get me with the normal whiteboard setup in the back. Other thing to shout out, the next time this channel will be live, presumably, will be on Saturday before the Pro League begins for the other Eastern Winners semifinal between Dog-Like Spike and Finesse. You won't want to miss that one, folks. That'll be Saturday, July 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. So make sure you tune in for that one for more NASL action. And of course, we will see you all not only in the Pro League Invitational, but also for the rest of NASL playoffs as we hopefully try to wrap this thing up next week. Take care, everyone, and have a good night. We'll see you around.